Hey there, good morning. I wanted to talk a little bit about Nearpods and how Nearpods can be too much and how to try to make them a little less. Also, you can embed uh, assessments in Nearpods to get a sense of what kids know and don't know. But I think the trick is that anything you build in Nearpod needs to be simple, to the point, and don't overdo it. I've made some pretty long Nearpods that probably could have been separated into 3 Nearpods that I could use over a period of time. So, again, as you're thinking about building lessons for the students, you have to start thinking more simply and about chunking things. So, it's kind of like a step by step experience through skills. And then, of course, throughout, you can be personalizing and differentiating after the Nearpod on the type of major assignment they create. So, any Google Slides presentation that you've created, you could kind of tweak it, edit it, and turn it into a Nearpod. The way you do that is you click add ons, you click open Nearpod, and so then you have this toolbar over here where you can add all kinds of elements that would then be used when you see it as an earpod. So just kind of want to talk you through some things. So notice I'm trying to keep text very simple, not too much. I One of the big things I have learned is that you always want to begin with some kind of introduction, something that's very simple. I could even, if I thought about it, I could maybe add a slide that details the assignments that they would do throughout. I don't know that you need to do that because Nearpod does have a fluidity to it. Anytime I move towards some kind of activity, I will do an introductory slide so that that movement from slide to slide in the Nearpod format um, is makes sense to the kids. It's not abrupt. Like that's the other thing that you have to keep in mind in the classroom when we're teaching and we're talking about PowerPoints. We fill in the blanks through what we talk about. We don't read from the PowerPoint. We're literally using PowerPoints to lecture. But when you're using the Google Slides to create Nearpods, you have to think from the stakeholder's perspective. So whether it's a parent trying to help their kid understand something or a kid trying to understand it, his or herself, um, you want to think step by step. Think like the audience when you build this stuff, not so much just trying to get it done really quickly. Um, there's a great deal of content that we use in the classroom, and the way we present it, it just doesn't connect mentally if you kind of try to stay the same as you would in a classroom. So, anyway, here's my introductory, and then here's my video that I wanted them to watch and consider. Here's another kind of intro to the next slide. This has a good amount of text on it. I don't know that they would or wouldn't read all of it. I try to keep things very simple and build. So, for instance, here I introduced to them how to mark a prompt. And then here I want them to see how Jolliffe's framework is being used to market text. And then I'm embedding these time crunch strategies because writing an AP analysis timed essay, they have 40 minutes to read and analyze a very difficult uh, passage, and then they have to write an essay that analyzes the author's purpose and how they built it. So it's pretty stressful. So I'm always talking, how do we beat that stress? How do we take that stress and kind of fix it and subdue it? So I teach them time saving strategies. And so this would be them viewing a document that's been annotated. Here I add a collaborate where they can discuss takeaways that they're learning. So this is another way to engage, to build community, to really kind of get a sense of what they are learning. Now, this moves you into writing the essay, and it's introducing some type of concept, okay? And then I'm going to move through the Nearpod to kind of unpack this. So here I give another intro, I incorporate the video. Here, I have the kids looking at structure of an essay because there's lots of little skills that you have to teach them very quickly to be able to start writing them. And so there's some shifts in thinking about writing that they have to make. And one is to write chronologically. So it's not only that I'm teaching them about commentary, but I'm also having to add in this idea that you're not going to do this little three-pronged thesis and talk about imagery and then diction and then syntax. You're going to go through and talk about what the author does first and how that works to build purpose and so on. And so these would be examples of student work moving chronologically through a text. So one is the actual prompt and the other is the response. And then here's another open-ended question where the student talks about their takeaways, what they've learned, and then it ends. So even though it is kind of like a lot of content and overview, it's introductory. It's getting us started and moving us towards some other activity.